All right, everyone, we are live. We are doing a little video this week, the Oakland Raiders and the Minnesota Vikings, week 3. I apologize for not getting on routinely. I did lie to y'all. I said I was going to try to get on once a week in the off season, and I didn't do that at all. I made 2 videos. I was pretty hyped about our team, and then I got depressed with all the AB stuff, and that's just kind of what happened. So I'm not going to lie to you. But from here on out, I'm going to be trying to do 1 preview video per week. I can't promise you anything else but that. And then alongside me here is Jamone, Jam1. He's going to co-host this each week, and we'll see what we can bring to you guys. Hopefully we can have some fun chit-chatting. And that's really all we're here for, is have a little bit of fun. And, you know, the only thing we really can do as Raiders fans is talk about them, because we don't win a lot.
And have perspective.
So let's begin here. We are starting that brutal road trip. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's 7 straight weeks away from home. First game up, Minnesota. So we are gonna break down the injury report real quick, because that's one thing that just stuck out to me. And then afterwards we'll kind of get into the game and what we see and what might be some big issues for us. So first off, the big name that's coming around to me right now is Trent Brown. Trent Brown. So we paid him, I don't know, 4 or 5 years and $1 bajillion. It doesn't matter. He's stacked up. And was that right? Is it 7 games away from home?
Well, it looks.
We're in London. We're in London against the Bears.
Oh, so yeah.
7 straight weeks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The next date home is.
What is that? November the 3rd.
November the 3rd. November the 3rd. It doesn't really matter. Awful scheduling.
That's awful. Yeah.
And
that's awful.
That's awful. That's a home game, London.
Well, dude, we might have to discuss that.
That's awful, and that game's an automatic L. That's Khalil Mack, Carr, but we'll have fun. Yeah, we'll have fun with that. And 2 weeks from now. But Trent Brown, he's got a knee. I don't know what the knee injury is. It's just knee. He didn't practice all week until Friday, and he had a full practice, and he's questionable to play.
I mean, that's someone that we obviously need. Like, I want to see him play. To have that,
you gotta have Trent Brown playing this game.
Man around.
I don't really like Brandon Parker, and I don't know if all y'all even know who Brandon Parker is, but he's our swing tackle, and he's going to be playing for Trent Brown if Trent Brown can't go. Let me tell you this. If you're going to be on a Gruden team, you have to be a Gruden grinder. And I did watch some press conferences with Gruden this week, and he thinks Trent Brown's good to go. So when your coach says you're good to go and you're over here not good to go, you better be good to go. So that's the first thing. If Trent Brown isn't in this game, most of this video that we're sharing with you won't matter.
But my only input on that is that it's a knee. So, like, he has to be ready now. Like, he ain't got no time to come in and get much treatment. Like, he's probably getting treatment right, but they got to know kind of tonight. Yeah, and a knee, like,
well, he could wake up on Sunday and be like, oh, my knee. But he could be good tonight and be bad in the morning, right?
Dude, I mean, sure, bro, but that turnaround is so quick. But yeah, they'll see you in the morning. But if it's not looking good tonight, it's not gonna look much better tomorrow. But that I just in his position.
Yeah, I mean,
you get injured that again so quick.
And we'll talk a little bit about the Vikings defense in a little bit, but I mean, right tackle, you need him.
I mean, we're talking about injuries. That's just another one that we don't need to be losing for a longer amount of time. We cannot. And he's actually truly questionable. Now in the NFL, sometimes they'll be they'll be like, oh, he's questionable, but he's really ready to go. No, Trent Brown's a true questionable. So we really don't know up until game time when he goes through the reps
if he's actually going to be good to go. Let's go on to Burfict. Burfict was limited all week, I believe.
Yeah.
Did he get a? He was limited all week, straight through. I think he'll play. He'll play banged up because he's the signal caller on defense.
Yeah.
I don't see him, even if he's at 70%, he needs to be out there calling plays. That's how I think it's going to be. So he's going to be playing. The two that are out indefinitely are going to be Dwayne Harris and Gabe Jackson. Harris got banged up last week, and then Gabe Jackson's been injured, and no real update on him, but I believe he's out of his boot, and I think he might be good in a week or two. That'd be really awesome to see our offensive line full attack. But those two guys are out. And then we get to the fun things. Richie Incognito is back.
That's another one I've never talked about, like when John Gruden brought him in. But he's back.
Richie Incognito is back in the NFL. Incognito. He's going to go down as one of the best Raider fits ever, even if he doesn't, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, but he is a Raider. I mean, this dude's actually a terrible person, and he hurts people on purpose, and he's crazy. And that's kind of what the Raiders were back in the day. So you know the connection. It makes sense. Back in the day. And he's a mauler. He's a mauler. So he
doesn't belong in this era. But that's what
he doesn't.
Whatever.
He doesn't. But he's back, and it's going to help our offensive line for this game. So this is against the Vikings Week 3 preview. This game, that's a huge help to Josh Jacobs, who also was on the injury list the entire week, but he was limited all the way through and had a full-on Friday, I believe. He did have a full-on Friday, and he's actually not – he doesn't have a tag. He's going to play. Okay.
Can we talk –
it was a groin issue on Monday. Gruden came out and said he's got a groin. And then on Tuesday, he came out and Josh came out and said it was a hip and that he'd also lost 10 pounds. Now, I don't know how that is. I wasn't an athlete for as long as Jamone was. So if an athlete loses 10 pounds, and I don't know how long, he didn't really give us detail, but he's lost 10 pounds. That's all muscle, right?
I mean, really, like, not necessarily, but because he's losing a lot of fluids. So he might.
So does he have that weight back this week? Like,
look. He's been full practice throughout the week. He's been getting his fluids. He's hopefully been eating regularly. Like I said to you over the phone, it could have been some sort of illness, too, like the flu, which can just take it out of you.
Yeah, and I
not eating and
that's cool. And apparently he actually got an IV during week 2 in the middle, which is why a portion of why he only had the 12 carries. Don't know when he got the hit, but the 10 pounds really bothers me.
Look, I'm not saying he'll be back at 100%, but you saw what he did. He had 12 for 99 when he was in the midst of dealing with all that, right? I mean, are you that worried about him?
I'm worried that he's only going to get 12 carries. And we'll talk about that a little bit more, but I don't see how this week goes well with a banged up, losing fluids. Josh Jacobs is going to get 10 to 12 carries. We don't win if he only carries the ball 12 times.
He's full practice today.
Yeah, he was full practice on Friday, sure.
I'm just saying, like, you're not going to full practice a guy
that's sick.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, if he's not sick, I'm less worried about the 10 pounds. I'm more worried about, is he losing more pounds? Like, what sickness is this? We just saw Sam Darnold have mono, and so it's like, wow, man, 10 pounds isn't really cool to lose.
Well, you would hope that in the midst of something like that they would go and test for that, take care of that. Let's knock that out. Make sure that it's not that.
Exactly.
I'm trusting that doctors are doing their job.
Exactly. Well, we're going to see Josh Jacobs regardless in this game.
But in what capacity? That is really important.
Exactly. So we'll get to that. That'll be very interesting to to break down. Tyrell Williams, he was on the injury report all week, and he was just like Jacobs. I believe limited the entire time, full on Friday. He will play. He does not carry a designation into week 3.
But we'll talk about that later. I didn't really think about it, but maximizing our potential.
Yeah, Tyrell, and that's a hit pointer. That's a true hit pointer. Again, I never played football, but sounds like it hurts, and it sounds like that could be an issue.
I think that's one of the reasons why I didn't play football, with whatever that injury is.
Exactly. Exactly. So we got the hit pointer there. And then moving on, one last thing. We know Jonathan Abram is out indefinitely, had the surgery. Apparently the surgery went really well. There's not a big reason to put this in for you guys because it doesn't really have anything to do with week 3, but it kind of does. We all know about the Jalen Ramsey news. And so Jamone kind of wants to key in on, well, our secondary's banged up. Should we?
I mean, dude, he's the type of guy that like you want around. I mean, if I'm looking from John Gruden's scope, whatever scope that is, but he's a roughneck. Like he's a rough rider. But he's on the field. He's always a mon. Can you say that Jalen Ramsey
is always on the field?
And what is he doing on? Like he's not
dominating.
He's not ever just.
He's dominating. So let me give you a scenario.
That's the game right now.
I know that there's been some news the Chiefs might be front runners because they really want to secure that and maybe get into that Super Bowl. It's short window in the NFL. If that's true and you're the Raiders, do you offer the 2 first rounds?
Bruh, that's a tough one for me because, man, I wish I could look at this from the Chiefs' perspective because I would say yes in an instant because you're competing for a Super Bowl.
Exactly.
But Raiders' perspective?
So are you okay with trading Khalil Mack for Jalen Ramsey? Because it's 2 first-round picks. It'd be essentially a swap.
That's something that I would ask you, but you brought it back to Khalil Mack. So I mean, for a talent like that you rarely see, that's yeah. But I mean, that would make losing Khalil Mack at the end maybe worth it.
Okay, and let me ask you this: would you be willing to maybe split the first round picks and do only one of our 2 this year, and then our only first round pick the following year, or would you be willing to give both first round picks up that are coming up this year? You also have to remember, guys, the draft's in Vegas. That'd be a very strange move to give up both your first round picks and be the team hosting the draft and not have a first round pick. It doesn't look great.
I couldn't see that, but if they can negotiate maybe splitting it this year and next year's. But like I said, 2 first round picks is a hefty price, and that's why the deal with anyone hasn't been done yet.
Do we have a gut check on where he lands?
Man, I really don't. I feel like that Jalen Ramsey, from everything that I've been seeing, and it's been quiet on the Western Front. Like, I'll be honest with you, for anyone who will be watching this or is watching this, I haven't read anything, but I haven't heard anything either. Yeah. So it sounds like Jalen Ramsey could just have to thug it out because the Jaguars don't have to trade him.
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah, I agree. I also wouldn't mind him just staying a Jacksonville Jaguar. That'd solve my issue. He may not. That'd be awesome.
Because then deal under control on his rookie deal hasn't been paid stacks yet.
Absolutely.
He's not in an AD situation.
Absolutely.
Quite yet.
I agree. So that brings us to the end of our injuries. If you guys have any questions or concerns, you guys could always hit us up and see. But I always like to do injuries first. That's something I'm probably going to continue to do because honestly, we've been a little bit banged up in injuries in the NFL. It's really important to know what guys are going into the game. So, if we have Trent Brown, we're at pretty good health, to be honest. If in overall, just trying to summarize that, if we don't, then the injury report looks way worse for us. And then let's move on and give us a little bit of stats real quick on these Vikings before we start talking about how we're going to game plan this week and how we're going to give our Raiders a chance at winning this game.
Well, okay, I want to go to what you said. Let's start individually. Let's go to the quarterback because I guess everything comes down to the quarterback. Do you want to key in on the key stat here?
Yeah. So there's 32 teams in the NFL, and he's Kirk Cousins. If everyone wants a little background on Kirk Cousins, if you're a dude like Jamone, he only watched the Raiders, right? So he's not a guru, and he's not going to be just watching all these teams every week, right? He was a Washington Redskin and ended up a Viking, and the money they're paying him right now is not turning out to be good money. He's got a 16.6 QBR, which lands him 31st in the NFL. Now that's through 2 weeks, and they did play the Packers, which I think the Packers are going to be an elite defense. But you got to remember,
it's his 8th season.
It's his 8th season. That's an awful stat line to have for a veteran QB.
A veteran starting.
So that's and let me remind you also, he's got Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen. He's got a rookie tight end. He's got Kyle Rudolph, and his offensive line is okay. And he has an elite running back that we'll talk about a little bit later. But to be honest, awful play. And within that lands them, of course, 31st in passing. And then they are 2nd in rushing in the league. And that's a one-man wrecking crew.
Yes.
So summarizing their stats for the season, which is short, and you shouldn't take this with too much seriousness. It's only 2 weeks, but their passing game is halting. And they're going to ground and pound. So we've been pretty good defending the run. So if we can just stop Dalvin Cook,
that's what you were saying.
And don't let Kirk Cousins light you up. And we'll get into our keys right now, but those are some stats you guys kind of want to look at. They're an awful passing team, and they can run the ball good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, sorry, they can run the ball well. So. Let's get into the keys. We're going to do some keys to the game for you on offense, and then we're going to also do some keys on defense. And we might veer away a little bit into keys and kind of talk a little bit deeper on any issue that we kind of think relates to the key that we're talking about. But the number one key that we came up with on offense to give us a chance to win this game, right? These keys are built and meant to give us a chance to win the game. You got to protect Carr.
Yeah, well, I mean, who is that predicated on? I mean, we have one big key, and that's Trent Brown.
Mm-hmm.
If we have Trent Brown, which it is looking like we shall.
With an incognito back in the lineup, too.
Incognito. I mean, hey, we're looking right. Incognito brings that nasty. And Derek Carr, Derek Mahomes is always going to make anyone look.
Yeah. Inferior.
But I'm feeling confident in Derek Carr going into this week.
Okay.
And I'm thinking that he will, given the game plan, be sound. I think that Derek Carr is going to show another solid effort.
And I agree, but it's all on that O-line. If Carr gets sacked early 2 or 3 times early in the first quarter, I still think he's a different quarterback when he starts getting touched.
But
so
he did. I mean,
he hasn't been touched too much this year, if any. He really hasn't been taken down often.
Our line has been putting in that work.
They have, and so that's why that's number one. But you got to protect Carr.
Right. That play has to continue.
Absolutely, that has to continue
always,
especially for Carr.
Always.
We don't have he's not like a Patrick Mahomes or Kyler Murray or he's not as mobile. He's shown some mobileness this year, but that's not what he wants to do. That's not what he wants to do.
I'm curious to know what's next on the keys because what really helps Derek Carr out the most is the run game, as it helps out most QBs that aren't Tom Brady. I
know you want to talk about that key. We're going to get to that key soon. Yeah. He'll have a lot to say about that. Number 2, though, also has to do with Carr. But this is just Carr. Don't turn the ball over.
Yeah.
How many picks did he have last week?
2.
2 interceptions.
2.
I'll tell you this. If he throws 2 interceptions this week, we lose.
Well, I mean,
it's an L.
Dude, we only gave up, 28 points to the Chiefs? But, like, the turnovers kill us.
You can't throw interceptions in this league. So if Carr throws another 2 picks, that's over. And key 1 and 2, they're if Carr's not getting protected, he higher chance of turning the ball over. So
that's facts.
If key number 1, we conquer that successfully, then key number 2 should be, in theory, work out well. But number 3, and this is Jamon's favorite key, Josh Jacobs. And I could say Josh Jacobs carries, or I could say Josh Jacobs targets. I could say Josh Jacobs snap counts. But let's just keep it simple and just say Josh Jacobs.
See, he is a dynamic player. And I know it's some old-timey coach thing. You don't want to hand the car over, but I think that when you have a guy like that, and you may not be playing for a Super Bowl, but what are you playing for if you're not playing your best players? And in saying that, I'll say we don't know about his health condition and whatever, but yeah. I'll say he had 12 for 99. I mean, he was okay enough to do that.
Yeah.
I mean,
and a 50-yard burst. I mean, and him having initially a groin injury to the hip, that makes me happier. What about you?
Bruh, I don't like injuries in general, but, I'm trying to think about, I'm more optimistic.
Yes.
And especially because he had that full practice, but, you land on the hip the wrong way, whatever.
It's not soft tissue, though, right? That's what I'm thinking in my mind. Groin soft tissue, correct? A hip's not.
Right.
And soft tissue is terrible for a running back.
But you got other things that connect to your hip that can definitely go on.
So you think maybe it could impact his quad?
I mean, not necessarily because, bruh, trust me, a lot of things go on with the body that you don't want to play around with.
Okay, so maybe a hip's not great, but it made me feel slightly better that it wasn't a groin.
Like I said, I'm more optimistic that it's not a groin.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
I just want to see him get more time. I mean, if he's playing, then he's good. He's good to go.
Well, let me ask you this. For you, is it snaps that he's on the field? Is it carries? Is it targets? What do you need to see?
It's all of it, okay? Because you bring him on the field for a run or 2 or 1 run, and then he gets the rest of that possession off or that drive, and then the next drive, and it's just like, what's going on? And every time he gets back on the field, he does something miraculous, and then the team looks more energized, and you can just tell that when he's on the field, everybody gets a little bit better. I mean, that's just the effect that he has already after 2 games.
And I think he only has 1 target in the passing game through 2 games, right? Yeah. He was not targeted once in Kansas City game, correct? I believe so.
And so you're not utilizing all your players in the best. I don't understand.
And he's a great pass catcher. Go watch his film.
Right.
Go watch film in Alabama. Great pass catcher. He might be a better pass catcher than he is just, a 2-down back. Honestly.
But yes, you are definitely right about that. But with that being said, we can't just talk about Jacobs. I mean, everybody. Why aren't we seeing more of Waller? Why aren't we seeing more Tyrell? Using more of our best players, getting the most of our roster. I mean, look, I don't want to hate on, who are our secondary backs?
Yeah. Washington and Richard.
I don't want to hate on them, but they're not getting the job done when they come in, really.
We were watching the game last week together. You're killing me, and we didn't know about the sickness. We didn't know about him banged up. But man, if he's on the sideline with his helmet on, then he better be going playing. This is football.
That's all right.
This is football, right? You're never going to feel 100. So put your best players out there. Put your best players out there. Until the trainer says that guy cannot go out there, he should be out there. And just like you were saying, you transition into our next point, maximize our potential. How many times was Waller targeted last week? And he was, if you take away the big bomb to Tyrell Williams in week 1, Waller was our best receiver in week 1. Where did Waller go in week 2?
Right. You're taking the words out of my mouth because, everybody needs to get more looks, more plays, whatever. Waller, Tyrell, Renfro.
Renfro, has a drop. I think he made the best catch this year on our team thus far.
I didn't see
a pass that was behind him in week 1.
Yeah, I didn't see him much week 2.
No.
Was there anybody else that we're missing out of that?
Well, you know what? This is going to get the Bay Area hype. We signed Keelan Doss. Where's Keelan Doss?
Oh yeah, that's someone that we should have on the field
this week.
What do you know about that?
I don't know anything. No one does. I haven't. He's out at practice, but I haven't heard anything in terms of how we're going to use him, or he really hasn't been brought up. We brought him back.
So we paid him extra
We brought him back to be on a team, on an active roster.
I'm confused.
If you look at our wide receiver core, his potential is the highest of anyone outside of Tyrell Williams. Hunter Renfro, I'm not going to categorize Hunter Renfro to Keelan Doss. He's a different receiver. But Keelan Doss, he's young. He's a young kid, and I know Gruden loves his older vets, and he's already playing way too many rookies in his mind. But, dude, Keelan Doss is a baller. At least that's what we saw in the preseason.
Hey, John Gruden's got a coach, man. Like I've been saying since before week 1. We kind of look silly in week 2, and so
yeah, we did.
Let's see if he can coach. Let's even coach.
All right, this one I want you to break down for me a little bit. Okay. It's our next key. Third down conversion rate. Does that have anything to do with anyone we've been talking about for about 28 minutes?
Oh yeah, because it has a lot to do with the run game, and the run game has a lot to do with Josh Jacobs.
Josh Jacobs, who?
Josh Jacobs, that man who is looking like LaDainian. How do you?
LaDainian.
I guess it's easy to just say LT.
Yeah, LT.
But man,
then you don't want to upset Lawrence Taylor.
You don't. Yeah. San Diego Chargers running back. I should say that running back LT. Golly, man. So Josh Jacobs has got to get more touches, especially on third downs. He really should be a third down back.
That's what he's got to be in there for.
And you could see, I don't have the exact numbers for last game, but I know for sure our third down conversion wasn't as good as in the first game.
Yeah, it was not.
And
it was not.
Josh Jacobs only had 12 touches, as you touched on earlier. Not to use that word too much, but for us to be better in this game, we have to convert on third downs, and we'll see what the game plan is.
And we really do. Because it goes into the next key. The last key for offense is time of possession. And how do you beat a team that has a good run game? You run, right? Because if you're passing the ball a whole bunch, then what are you doing? You're just giving the ball back. Even if you're scoring, you're giving it back to them to run. So to counteract a run game, run. So time of possession. What is that? That has a lot to do with Josh Jacobs again. I feel like I'm saying Josh Jacobs a lot.
Right.
I feel like I am, and I know that might be, maybe a little too early, and we've only seen him 2 games, but he's the most explosive offensive player that we've drafted and seen in a long time, because I was never a Amari Cooper fan. I was in college, but for whatever reason, he never really showed his true potential.
I was a Darren McFadden fan.
I was too. And he had a lot of potential, and he played with the Raiders through that kind of like phase of like, ugh. That's the phase that he played through. So Josh Jacobs, time of possession, we need to run. So I guess to sum up our offensive keys would be Carr needs to be smart, and we need to protect Carr, and we need to run the ball. We need to get back to running the ball on first down, run the ball on second down, run it through their gut, let the clock keep going, and make a few key passing plays. And I guarantee you that's going to be a lot like the Vikings game plan. Mm-hmm. And it's whoever actually gets through to this and gets it down and successfully completes that game plan is probably going to win.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, solid game plan execution.
So now on to a little bit of defense. What was the QBR again? 16.6?
Something like that.
16.6. Kirk Cousins. There are a lot of words that I could say Kirk Cousins is, but as we're alive, Kirk Cousins is atrocious. Abysmal right now. Yeah. And so there's a name that I haven't heard a lot on TV when I'm watching the Raiders or during press conferences, really. Arden Key. Wasn't he supposed to, help get some of those sacks that we lost from Khalil Mack? I thought that was where's Arden Key?
Bro, maybe we're expecting too much.
Are we expecting? I'm not. Can I get a sack?
I mean, we're getting them from other places, just not from who we expect. Who was that? Who does he have, like 3 in 2 games?
Oh, goodness. It's the DT.
Right.
Why am I forgetting his name right now? He was on Dallas last year. He was a Raider before. Now he's a Raider again. We'll find it because that is going to get to me. Mayoa.
Mayoa, you're right.
Right? Mayoa.
Benson Mayoa.
Yeah.
Mayoa.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, sure. But
that's not.
He's unexpected. Yeah. Arden Key's supposed to be doing the job that we drafted him for.
So where is Arden Key? Hopefully we'll find him in game 3.
And since Abram's gone, let me just hold up. We're talking about Kirk Cousins being awful and atrocious and abysmal like he is. We have to get some pressure on him. He's still an NFL QB, so if he sits back there, and just passes the ball, it's not going to look good for us.
Well, yeah, I mean, we can't, but that also, I mean, we're talking about defense. Our guys got to lock up on the man. Give these boys some time.
Where's Clelin Ferrell at? I'm going to start putting pressure on this rookie now.
I mean, look, man, this is the NFL. Like,
it's pressure time. Abram's gone.
Yeah.
You were our first pick.
Yeah, you're right. They're getting drafted. I'm
going to need some sacks. I'm telling you, if we don't hear Ferrell and Key a few times, then we're in trouble. And
God.
And I do, because if we don't hear those names, we're going to hear a lot of Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen.
I have something. There's a name that I don't want to hear a lot. It's Gannon Conley. Because we're talking about defense, and he's in getting towards.
And he has been injured a lot this year. He's been banged up, but I agree with you. We don't want to hear that. I don't know who he's going to be covering, but
he's been playing. Like, I know
he's gonna probably be on Diggs. He's got the size advantage on Diggs. Just don't get burnt.
Let's key in on that when we get to the game early tomorrow. It's an early game.
It is. It's an early game. But as I'm saying, though, Kirk Cousins, we got to slow him down, and that's going to be Ferrell. It's going to be key. And then there's one guy on this team that we can't let go off. He's leading the league in yards per carry with 6.5.
Yeah.
That's Dalvin Cook. I haven't said Dalvin Cook's name as much as Josh Jacobs in this 35 minutes.
But he's worth mentioning for sure.
But man, if he just goes off and 140 for 2 TDs, like I said, it doesn't matter if we don't have Trent Brown, we're going to lose this game most likely. Well, if he does that, we probably lost already as well. Cannot let Dalvin Cook go off. And that, we haven't mentioned any of our linebackers. Perfect. Morrow, Tahir Whiteside, all those guys, it's your time now. If they get through the first, he cannot get through you. If he gets through you, it is a wrap. Because guess what? You just lost your best tackler in the secondary on Abrams. If he gets past that second, he's out of there. He's out of there. Conley is a okay tackler. I don't want to see Carl Joseph versus Dalvin Cook, and Carl Joseph hits hard, but Dalvin Cook's a big boy. that would be kind of scary. We're undersized in the secondary like that, so our linebackers got to step up and stop Dalvin Cook. The last thing I want to hear is like a 75-yard from Dalvin Cook.
Bruh, I mean, it's oftentimes like when you say stuff like that, we end up hearing stuff like that.
Yeah, I know.
So just because you say like, bro, this oh man, what you say? I mean, he's good. Like he's pretty.
If our game plan isn't to stop the run first, I'm gonna start losing some hope on Gruden. Okay. Now, if we go out there and we stop the run, but Kirk starts lighting us up, well, then we can talk about the things we just talked about. Are we pressuring Kirk Cousins? Is Gary and Conley getting torched out there? You know. But if Dalvin comes in and just lays it on us,
I mean, you're right. He is the one that, looking at the team on paper, that's the guy you want to stop.
Well, you can stop a running back. You can effectively say, I'm not going to let him run and stack the box.
Yeah, make Cousins
fast.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds bad as a Raiders fan because we always get torched through the air, but unfortunately, our secondary's got to step up.
I don't think the game plan should be we're going to go in there and stop the run and play it normal. Like,
we got to go in and stack the box and let our cornerbacks go one-on-one. Yeah. Unfortunately.
Ooh, man. Why do I have a feeling I think that we're going to see them not stack the box?
You got to stack the box, and you're going to lose sometimes. Adam Thielen is a baller. I think Adam Thielen's probably going to have the best game as a collective offensive group for the Vikings. Watch Adam Thielen. He's going to ball out. But regardless, stop Dalvin Cook. Please. If we stop Dalvin Cook, but we just get torched through the air, we can talk about other things.
Yeah.
But eliminate the run. And then we kind of already talked about this a little bit, our last defensive point, but it's important to circle back on it. It was Arden Key who. So, again,
show up.
If you're not hearing Arden Key, he's got to show up. So, Arden Key, if you're listening right now, like if you're just chilling on your bed, about to get some nice Z's, it's they're in Minnesota, so he should be asleep already. But if you are, man, can I just get a few pressures? Can I get a forced fumble? Can I get a strip sack or something? Just one. I'm not asking for a lot. We're not asking for a lot, just a little bit. I haven't heard your name. You're starting to scare me. You put on all that weight and got quicker for what? For nothing? It's ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? It's ridiculous.
All right, man. Leave me alone.
All right. Well, that's it for this week.
Second year, right?
It is his second year.
I mean, let's see. I'm hoping that he'll get better as the year progresses, but he's no Khalil Mack.
He's no Khalil Mack, but he needs to progress, correct? If I don't hear Arden Key the rest of this year, then really Arden Key who? Just let him go. Just a bust. Hey, you as a defensive player, year 2, you better be 100.
All right, man. You heard him. Arden Key.
All right, guys. Well, that's it for this week. Next week, we'll be talking about is it the Colts?
Dude,
is it already the Colts?
I really hope it is, because if it's the Colts, we should.
I think we're playing the Colts in it. Let me just get on that and see if we're actually playing. It is.
We should have it, right?
It is the Colts without Andrew Luck. The Colts. So we'll be talking about the Colts next week. We'll try to get this in. I like to get these out either late Friday night, but mostly Saturdays, because Saturdays we know the full injury report. Some people do these videos like on Thursdays or Fridays, and they're talking about, Trent Brown probably not going to play at all, but then he got that full practice on Friday, so then it gave us hope. So just things like that. So yeah, we'll see you guys next week, and I hope we get some people to tune in, and tune into the game tomorrow, guys, and hopefully we don't hear a lot of Dalvin Cook. Am I right? Deuce Raider Nation.